Hank rubbed his chin. The manager, Joseph, coughed at his opponent. So Hank pled his case with a waved arm, raising his voice a notch. Your Honor, this atrium's vast opulence affects my ability to concentrate. The stacking of these indoor balconies reminds me of the spiraled, ramped interior of the Guggenheim Museum. Ostentatious. I like this. Built for the boycotted Olympics. War took precedence. But as the hotel demonstrates, business was always business no matter what ideology fronts it. Right, fellas? Joseph frowned. Yes, Mr. Greenway, no one woke to economics yesterday. Let's settle this. I have work in the morning. Agree and your show starts tomorrow. Hank rubbed his neck, then stroked the edge of the desk, furrowing his face into a picture of serious concern. He told Joseph, I can't take your offer seriously. We're leaving anyway, but until then, this hotel can't share this pocket of opportunity. Joseph practically giggled. You're kidding, he said. My bellhophead's hands are in every pocket through those front doors. Then Joseph rolled his eyes and lifted a stack of bound literature to plop on the counter in between. He cut the string with a small penknife and raised an eyebrow, meaning, what else? Then said, This is how business is done. I don't see your problem, Mr. Greenway. Hank said, I'm afraid our salesmen get 10%. Joseph smiled. 20 is hardly anything, and don't be afraid, you are hotel guests. Hank said, our enterprises are not connected. That has to be clear. Joseph grinned. How do you figure in basement? 3 bellhops arrived for the fuss, and Joseph turned the page. Hank said, I figure. So without looking up, Joseph said, calculate, which Hank did. The basement is a temporary token donation. Our Hammer and Cycle's name's significance commemorates egalitarianism existing in spirit, if not flesh and blood facts. That noble heritage should not be forgotten. In fact, I read those denied legal identification to work were still allocated enough nourishment to barely not die. Welfare, great, truly beautiful, wonderful, a free lunch without breakfast or dinner. Joseph cracked the next magazine scene. Our poetic tragedy from your lips. So what? Then his nose rose with the bellhop's satisfied grins when he said, American corruption is so pure, Mr. Greenway? Hardly. So of course, Hank sounded as if he agreed. A little vice among friends, where profit's been squeezed from for centuries? Joseph smiled, opportunist. America should be embarrassed its juvenile delinquency corrupted this country. No, let me explain. I work for Dr. Hammer, Mr. Big Business. But Mr. Greenway, this country is different from what your experts design. Your free criminal enterprise system has left our citizens unprotected. You will see law and order become foremost again. Authority should prevail, don't you think? Hank said, count on it, and eyed the jury. But Joseph pointed his hand like a gavel with the judge's assurance at his hand-picked hopheads. Having studied too, sounding prescient, asking, a plan, Mr. Greenway? You are franchised then? You have brought low to no interest loans for the masses? Or are you here just to pick us clean too? Hank turned to the jury. Diabolical, he said. I'm just visiting as a courtesy. Joe nodded and picked up a different magazine, saying, humph. No, the hotel receives its share or your seed withers and dies, and 30% if you wish. I can't lower my level of service. That excited Hank. He said, I'm so glad you raised the point, then pointed at the tall stairway to our right. Look, there goes the scapegoat prophet now. Wow, what a leap. Bah, bah. Over the fence, running from the corralled economy, so free that staring at it, we still can't see the economic myths. Joseph rapped once on the desk. Wake up, dreamer. Use your imagination for business. Hank didn't laugh and said, I should leave. So we walked through the whole atrium, gazing again at how the stacked balconies rise like the Guggenheim. He mumbled, "The political art is blending confusion to appear light of day." Then, for a page-turner, walking back to the desk, Joseph interrupted by telling me in Russian he's concerned for the little guy. Hank heard and said, "I saw a swimming pool today that's open for anyone to use, but no one was paid enough to keep it clean, while this exclusive hotel is efficiently cleansed," attesting to 20%, which, Hank said, would make me happy, except you don't intend to do 20% of the work, a useless deal for me. Joseph looked at the bellhops as if Hank wasn't in between. So Hank interrupted, "But hotel employees can make extra money on their way home," he asked. Joseph cleared his throat, meaning he could afford a loose negotiation. His ilk were accustomed to toying with others. Joseph said, "Ask everyone. My employees love work. Even approach prostituti who arrive after I leave." Joseph himself instinctively laughed at the reflexive lie. So he said, "You see what I tolerate to keep guests happy? Don't you, Mr. Greenway? Your worldwide panacea of commerce already arrived, far short of perfect. Like communism, commercial propaganda whips a broken horse that can't carry its myth anymore either. In fact, we know you are not capitalists. We laughed our heads off a year ago over how blind you are."